Hey guys, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions, coming to you from Houston, Texas, inside Timberline Fitness Studio. And today I'm going to talk about partial reps, partial lifts, whatever you want to call them. And the reason I bring it up is because I've started incorporating it with a couple of my bigger lifters as a way to break through plateaus, to give them a little something different, to give them the feel of moving that heavy weight, right? And I just want to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of doing things like partial lifts. Now, I'm sure everybody's been around the gym. They've seen the guy who loads up the squat rack, goes halfway down, and comes right back up. Maybe he's trying to do a partial lift. Odds are probably not, though. He just wants to think he squats a lot of weight, or she squats a lot of weight, and that's it. And it's hindering their range of motion, and maybe they feel good doing it, and that's fine. But ultimately, if you do that enough, a lot of the negatives of partial reps are going to creep up on you. Negative things like injury, for instance. The lack of half the phase, right? If you're only going down halfway, you're only contracting the muscle half of its true length, right? They're going to risk injury. Much easier to get injured because it's heavier loads that you can't handle. And if you just go a little too low, you're going to hurt yourself. Not to mention less overall work is actually performed, right? If you do 10 reps of half squats, you're only doing 10 half reps, right? You're doing 5 reps, kinda. Probably even feels a little less than that. Now you're bearing a ton of weight. And if you don't make up for it by doing a ton of volume, you're just going to have just that, a bunch of half reps, half the volume that you meant to get. So those are kind of the negatives. We'll just get those out the way. And let's go right into the pros of it. Now, like I said, my guys are doing it strictly for plateau breaking. They're getting in a cycle where we're going to get closer to the middle to low reps, try to figure out kind of what their max is, things like that. That being said, we're not doing partial reps for everything. And they have also been tasked with completing high volume, full range of motion exercises 2 or 3 days later. And this is something we're only going to do 2 or 3 times in a 3-week period. Partial reps are not something you do every time or every workout or anything like that, with a couple of exceptions that I'll go over later. But these exceptions are so specific and so unique to the exercise or the body part you're working that I almost don't want to mention it. I wouldn't give anybody this so that they would have an excuse to do a partial rep and think it's okay. But anyway, let me go on to the pros of partial reps. And like I said, a lot of this is just my opinion. Some people think you should never do it. Some people could find a problem with the pros of the partial reps. Say, what about this? Of which my response would be, yeah, I already talked about the cons. Of course, there's a con to every pro. Get over it. But the first thing is that you're able to move larger loads, right? If you only go down halfway on a squat, for instance, or you're doing a box squat, of course you can lift more weight. You're not going down as far. Your muscles are already engaged and you're in a more mechanically advantaged position. So squatting up from, a 2-foot box is much easier than going down to your hamstrings or your quads or parallel, however you want to squat. So doing that, it helps improve you in that terminal range of motion. And if that's your weak spot on the lift, it allows you to focus more on that weak spot. Allows you to overload that so you can get stronger so it can fit the rest of your normal range of motion. You can use it as a substitute for a full range of motion squat. Squats is what I keep going to. But let's say you're doing rehab, right? Going the full range of motion might not be the best thing on rehab. Your ACL or a hamstring pull or something like that. Going in these shorter ranges of motion help your muscles warm up and get used to it and little by little come back to 100%. It's also the injury prevention aspect of it. Going a full range of motion can hurt you if your muscles aren't up to it. Now, when you go partial reps, you're going a lot heavier, so the whole metabolic adaptation is always there. Just putting the weight on your back or on your chest or anything like that, just having that amount of poundage forces your body to adapt. Your neurological system, your muscles, they freak out, they recruit more muscle fibers, and that ultimately leads you to getting stronger, right? So sometimes just bearing the weight. There's an old powerlifting trick where before they go for a record, they just put 50 more pounds on the bar, unrack it, and just hold it. Or maybe go down 2 inches, something like that, so that when they take that 50 pounds off, it doesn't feel as heavy. Their neurological system has already adapted to that heavier weight. So they feel, and some of it's psychological, don't get me wrong, but some of them feel like it'll be lighter and easier, and it will help them achieve their actual max, what they were really shooting for. It also helps with, variation. It's an extra cog to break through plateaus, which is what I use it for. And it allows your sets to be quicker, so you could get a bigger training volume as far as reps go. Now, if you're saying, one full squat is the same as 2 or 3 partial squats, then that volume debate can be had. But if you're doing something specific, something especially sports specific, it's such a good tool to use. And for everybody, it's such a good routine buster, I call it, to help you stop doing the same thing and experience some heavy weight on your back, your chest, or wherever you're lifting to bring you to the next level. Now, most of this stuff you would do it on compound exercises. There's not really that much of a benefit to overloading on curls. You don't want to load up a bar and say, doing cheat curls like Arnold. It's not really a thing. It has its advantage, but like I said, that might even be more psychological. Just knowing that much weight in your hand, in your grip, you're fighting gravity with it. But as far as why to do partial reps, like I said, for me, it's a routine buster. But the other 2 biggest reasons, I kind of narrowed it down to 3. Sports specific. Let's say you're a shot putter, right? Doing a bunch of full range of motion shoulder presses, you may not need because your elbow's out anyway when you're doing a shot put. I've shot put before. Just being able to explode on that short range and using your entire body can help so much. Your legs are never parallel to the ground when you're a shot putter. You're either crow hopping or spinning. So being able to do the top half of that squat and explosive and strong weight can help you through that shot put further. I did a lot of this in high school, and I credit that with making me a successful field athlete in track and field. Also for power lifters, those guys just lift. It's 3 main lifts: bench, squat, deadlift. If you're not doing partials, there's only so many lifts to do to get better at that kind of stuff. So mixing up those lifts with things like partials, negatives, all that is wildly important if you really want to break through plateaus and vary up your workout. If not, you'd just be doing regular bench press all the time, flat incline, decline, and then you're kind of running out, right? And then, of course, breaking the plateau, already talked about that. So boom, there's 3 whys to do it. Now, the other half of that is when to do it. I cannot emphasize enough, it's not something you should be doing every workout. It's not even something you should do every other workout. It's, in my opinion, when you're getting to a phase where you want to get close to a max or do low reps, that is the time you want to start adding in some half reps. Full range of motion is always going to be better for actually building size. Because the way it works, when you lift, your muscles stretch and they contract. Why would you want your muscle to not fully stretch and then fully contract? Right? That's the point of muscles. That generates the most force. And as that muscle's working to generate force, that's when it tears and rebuilds and gets bigger. Doing half reps may help with strength, but as far as muscle size, it's not going to be very beneficial. And you need big muscles to get to that next level of strength. You can't just always lift heavy, because if your muscles aren't growing, they can only handle so much weight coming down on them. The best way I can describe partials, they're an accessory to your workout as you're getting to a heavy cycle. As far as the when, also already said, compound lifts the way to go. Don't be doing curls, because you'll end up using other body parts. When you try to isolate one, you're going to end up bringing others in, and then nothing's getting worked. And the other exception, like I said in the very beginning, there is an exception, but it's on a few lifts, and that is at the end of a failed set. The one example I always use is, let's say you're doing close grip bench press, and you get 15 reps, and you're just going to fail out if you go all the way to your chest again. A lift like that, you can go halfway down and still get plenty of tricep work in. That's what we're trying to do with close grip bench press, is try to get our triceps working. Same thing with calf raises. Same thing with leg extensions. I don't love them on leg press. You could, I guess, but leg press, you're already kind of stuck in there. I'd rather do a full range of motion all the time with that. I'm trying to think of what else. Really anything where you have a mechanical advantage, like I'm talking about top-notch mechanical advantage, is the only type of thing you'd want to do a partial with. Like the bicep curls, you're already at a mechanical advantage just about anywhere you are. Doing partials don't really help you. I know a lot of people like 21s where you go halfway down, then halfway up, and then full range. And that's tiring your arms out, but I don't know actually how much work is being done compared to just doing 21 full curls. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thought in it. Like I said, it can be a great tool, but even when you're doing it, you need to get your full range of motion at some point that week on that same body part. You don't want to get stiff. You don't want to risk injury. It's a great way to help you get stronger, but it shouldn't be the staple of your workout. It's just another thing you can add in. I hope this podcast gave you some ideas and helped you out. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review in the Apple Pod Center. Also in Google Play and Spotify, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Quick Sessions Podcast. My name is Garrett Terrio. I'll see you next time.